So I got the tumors for my mouth section, so I'm ready to stain them for apoptosis markers. I was wondering when the next time you would be doing immunohistochemistry so I can watch it before I do it myself.
Sure. I'll be starting a new IHC on Monday. Here's the protocol I use. Let me know if you have any questions after you look it over.
Great, thanks.
Safety always starts with understanding the experiment or the procedure in detail. Reading the SOP or standard operating procedures carefully helps in identifying exposure risks and whether the SOP is written correctly.
There is a hierarchy of safety controls as depicted in this picture. The most protective is at the top and the least protective is at the bottom. But a good approach to safety is to use the safest or a combination of safety controls, and these are things like type of personal protective equipment, or PPE, required for working with certain chemicals, the types of engineering controls, such as using a fume hood, and administrative controls, which include limiting the amount of time working with a certain hazardous chemical, or requiring training, among others. Which of these types of controls would reading an SOP fall under? If you guessed administrative controls, you are correct.
Personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as lab coats, goggles, and gloves, are the last line of defense to help perform experiments safely. Think of a seatbelt in a car. It only comes into play if all other safety features of the car fail and you get into an accident.
So it seems like the first part of the experiment uses some pretty nasty chemicals.
Yeah, that's right. We have to use xylene to remove the paraffin from the slide and clear the sample first. We have to use it under the hood since it is a volatile chemical and it can be harmful if you inhale it.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll make note of it.
Wait, that isn't in the protocol?
No, I didn't see it in the protocol.
Oh, okay. Well, when we're done, please make sure to update me so that we can update the protocol.
In order to mitigate risk correctly, the idea is that the hazard is removed from the environment before it reaches the worker. Remember, PPE is considered to be the last line of defense because if all other safety controls fail, PPE is what keeps the hazard from you. Though it doesn't seem as if much is going on, the members of this lab are using administrative controls and engineering controls to mitigate any dangers from xylene. Administrative controls affect how people work with hazardous materials, such as following SOPs, reading SDS sheets, and taking any required training. Lastly, they are using engineering controls by using the chemical hood so they protect both themselves and everyone else in the lab from exposure.
Hey, how'd your IHC go?
It went pretty well. The staining is pretty specific and the negative control doesn't show any staining.
Nice. People actually used to do IHC in my old lab, but I never did it myself. They used something called xylene substitute instead of xylene.
Oh, I wonder if that's less toxic than xylene.
Yeah, it actually is. That's why we switched to it.
Oh, I'll have to look that up later. Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
The two most effective safety controls are substitution and elimination. Though elimination may not be possible for many hazardous chemicals or protocols, the scenario depicted is a good example of substitution. Another example is this. One of the most dangerous things in the lab is the combination of fire and ethanol. When you are spreading bacteria, you dip your spreader in ethanol and flame it to sterilize it. That can be eliminated by the use of plastic spreaders that can be autoclaved between uses or discarded. Remember, mitigating risk uses as many controls as possible. Elimination and substitution, being the most effective type of safety control, should be used when possible. But if not, a combination of engineering, administrative, and PPE controls are used together to reduce the hazards you may encounter while sciencing.